जय गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन। यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन। यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन। यामुनतीरावनचारे। यामुनतीरावनचारे। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारे। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारे। जय राधा माधव राधा माधव राधे। जय प्रभुपद जय प्रभुपद जय प्रभुपद जय प्रभुपद। जय जय प्रभुपद जय प्रभुपद जय प्रभुपद जय प्रभुपद। जय गुरुदेव 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 जय गुरुदेव। श्रील प्रभुपाद की, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। हरे कृष्ण। Thank you very much, dear devotees, for kindly being present here today. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, chapter 13th, verse number 12. Before we begin, it is Shishta Parampara, tradition established by the previous acharyas, that we should begin with Mangalacharan, auspicious invocations. Following in that tradition, I'll begin with auspicious invocations. Most of us know these verses. You can kindly sing along with me. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam yena Bhutale Soyam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namam Viṣṇu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 13, verse number 12. The verse is spoken by Sri Brahmā to Swayambhuva Manu and his wife Shatarupa. The verse is in front of us. I will sing. Kindly repeat after me. Param śuśrūṣaṇaṁ mahyam syāt prajā-rakṣayā nṛpa bhagavāṁs te prajā-bhartur hṛṣīkeśo nutuṣyati param śuśrūṣaṇaṁ mahyam syāt prajā-rakṣayā nṛpa bhagavāṁs te prajā-bhartur hṛṣīkeśo nutuṣyati param śuśrūṣaṇaṁ mahyam syāt prajā-rakṣayā nṛpa bhagavāns te prajā-bhartur hṛṣīkeśo nutuṣyati. param śuśrūṣaṇaṁ mahyam syāt prajā-rakṣayā nṛpa bhagavāns te prajā-bhartur hṛṣīkeśo nutuṣyati param śuśrūṣaṇaṁ mahyam syāt prajā-rakṣayā nṛpa bhagavāns te prajā-bhartur hṛṣīkeśo nutuṣyati param śuśrūṣaṇaṁ mahyam syāt prajā-rakṣayā nṛpa bhagavāns te prajā-bhartur hṛṣīkeśo nutuṣyati param śuśrūṣaṇaṁ mahyam syāt prajā-rakṣayā nṛpa bhagavāns te prajā-bhartur hṛṣīkeśo nutuṣyati. Vaishnavis. param śuśrūṣaṇaṁ mahyam syāt prajā-rakṣayā nṛpa bhagavāns te prajā-bhartur hṛṣīkeśo nutuṣyati param śuśrūṣaṇaṁ mahyam स्यात् prajā-rakṣayā nṛpa bhagavāns te prajā-bhartur hṛṣīkeśo nutuṣyati param śuśrūṣaṇaṁ mahyam syāt prajā-rakṣayā nṛpa bhagavāns te prajā-bhartur hṛṣīkeśo nutuṣyati. Thank you. Dear devotees, the purpose of repeating the verse so many times is that by the time the verse is repeated, we get to memorize it and we get to commit it to memory. So I'll try to repeat the verse from memory without looking at it. You kindly repeat after me. Param śuśrūṣaṇaṁ mahyam syāt prajā-rakṣayā nṛpa bhagavāns te prajā-bhartur hṛṣīkeśo nutuṣyati. So this is the purpose of repeating the verse so many times. We get to commit it to memory. Now we'll see the synonyms word for word. Kindly repeat after me. Param, the greatest. śuśrūṣaṇaṁ, devotional service. Mahyam, unto me. Syāt, should be. Prajā, the living entities born in the material world. Rakṣayā, by saving them from being spoiled. nṛpa, O King. Bhagavān, the personality of Godhead. Te, with you. prajā-bhartuḥ, with the protector of the living beings. hṛṣīkeśaḥ, the Lord of the senses. anutuṣyati, is satisfied. So dear devotees, before reading the translation, I'll give a slight context of what is being spoken. In the previous chapter, Sri Brahmā was dissatisfied with the fact that creation is not taking place at the speed at which he desired. Therefore, from his body, there were two entities produced. One was masculine, one was feminine. The masculine entity was Shri Swayambhuva Manu, and the feminine entity was his wife Shatarupa. And then, in the beginning of the chapter, Swayambhuva Manu asks, "What can I do to please you?" And then Sri Brahmā says, "You should create progeny and also protect that progeny." And in this verse, he is going to say that by protecting and maintaining that progeny, Bhagavān will be pleased with you. So this is the context of the verse. I'll read the translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: O King, if you can give proper protection to the living beings in the material world, that will be the best service for me. When the Supreme Lord sees you to be a good protector of the conditioned souls, certainly the master of the senses will be very pleased with you. Purport: the whole administrative system is arranged for the purpose of going back home, back to Godhead. Brahma is the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Manu is the representative of Brahma. Similarly, all other kings on different planets of the universe are representatives of Manu. The lawbook for the entire human society is the Manu-saṁhitā, which directs all activities towards the transcendental service of the Lord. Every king, therefore, must know that his responsibility in administration is not merely to exact taxes from the citizens, but to see personally that the citizens under him are being trained in Viṣṇu worship. Everyone must be educated in Viṣṇu worship and engaged in the devotional service of Hṛṣīkeśo, the owner of the senses. The conditioned souls are meant not to satisfy their material senses, but to satisfy the senses of Hṛṣīkeśo, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the purpose of the complete administrative system. One who knows this secret, as disclosed herein, the version of Brahmā, is the perfect administrative head. One who does not know this is a show bottle administrator. By training the citizens in the devotional service of the Lord, the head of a state can discharge his responsibility. Otherwise, he will fail in the onerous duty entrusted to him and thus be punishable by the supreme authority. There is no other alternative in the discharge of administrative duty. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripam tamaham vande Shri Gurum Dina Taranam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam. Dear devotees, once again I'd like to welcome all of you to this morning session on Srimad Bhagavatam. And we are discussing Sri Brahma's statement to Swayambhuva Manu, where he is saying that you should follow my order and protect the progeny that has been created and train them properly, and that will be great service to me. And not only that, this service will please Bhagavān Hṛṣīkeśa. So we have seen the purport of Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada says in the commentary to the first verse of the Bhagavatam that a serious student should also understand different angles from the previous acharyas. He says it right in the first verse, purport of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we'll also see some comments from the previous acharyas on this verse. The first Sanskrit commentary that we have is from Jagadguru Srila Sridhar Swami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's favorite commentator. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Sridhar Swami Guru Kari Mani, Sridhar Anugata Karo Bhagavat Vyakhyan. Accept Srila Sridhar Swami as your Guru. And if you want to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, understand it as Srila Sridhar Swami has understood. Srila Sridhar Swami, a very devout worshipper of Bhagavan Nrsimhadev, in his commentary to this particular chapter, he gives an introductory verse for the chapter, and in this one verse he summarizes the entire chapter. Srila Sridhar Swami says, Trayodase śuśrūṣaṇaṁ manor akasmikaplutam dharam uddhartumudbhutat krodat daityanusudanam. He says in this 13th chapter of the 3rd canto, there is description of Swayambhuva Manu's desire to create progeny and his finding the earth submerged in waters and the killing of the Asur, the demon Hiranyaksha, by Varahadev, who appeared to rescue the earth from the waters. So this is the summary of this particular chapter. Commenting on this verse, Srila Sridhar Swami says, very short comment, prajā-palakasya te tushto bhavishyati. Even Bhagavān will be pleased with you who are maintaining the subjects created by me. Dear devotees, this is a very interesting proposition because Sri Brahma is guaranteeing devotional service in exchange of maintaining the material universe. I hope you are able to understand. It's a very interesting proposition. Maintain the material world and Bhagavan will be pleased with you. When I read this verse, I was surprised because perhaps for the first time, devotional service is being guaranteed in exchange of maintaining the living entities of this world. But there is a way of maintaining them, and Srila Prabhupada has clarified in the purport, that is to train them properly so that they can attain the final goal of life, which is Shri Bhagavad Bhakti, devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is Srila Sridhar Swami. Another commentator, Sri Vamshidhar, adds another angle. nṛpa iti rakṣādhikāra sūchanaya uktam. In the original verse, Sri Brahma had said nṛpa, O king. When he said nṛpa, O king, he was indicating prajā-rakṣayā, that you should protect the citizens. You should protect the created living entities. So automatically by calling Swayambhuva Manu as nṛpa, as king, although Swayambhuva Manu has just appeared from Brahma's body, he has not been coronated as king yet. But Sri Brahma immediately called him nṛpa, O king. By this he is indicating that you are already eligible for protecting the living entities. So the commentators are adding various angles, and we should have a look at those particular angles. From the Madhva Sampradaya, Sri Vijay Dhwaj Tirth, he says, he points out the previous verse, 3.13.7, where Swayambhuva Manu had asked Sri Brahma, how can we render service to you? And the commentator points out this verse is a reply to that previous question. And two types of service are mentioned. What are the two types of service? First is to accept the order, and second is to protect the progeny. And by these two, Bhagavan will be pleased. Our Gaudiya Vaishnava commentator Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, mahyam mama mam prinayatum itiva. Sri Brahma says in the verse, mahyam, your service for me. And it can mean your service for actually pleasing me. Because Sri Brahma is waiting for a long time to give that service to somebody who is eligible. So this is what Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has said. Sri Vallabhacharya, in his commentary to this particular verse, says, praja utpadane prajā-rakṣayāṁ cha sarvendriyanam upabhogad indriya adhisthata hṛṣīkeśo bhagavān parituṣyati. Bhagavān hṛṣīkeśa. We all know what is the meaning of hṛṣīkeśa, the master of the senses. So Sri Vallabhacharya says, since all senses, hṛṣīka, experience enjoyment during procreation and maintenance of children. Therefore, by doing this, the master of all the senses, hṛṣīkeśa, will be pleased. What he is pointing out to here is because Bhagavan has said in the Gita, dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshava. I am that desire of procreation which is not against dharma. So this desire for procreation is not against dharma. Therefore, by procreating and protecting progeny in this way, Bhagavan will be directly pleased. This is the indication of Sri Vallabhacharya here. We have discussed 5 previous commentators along with the commentary of Srila Prabhupada, and the commentators have added various new angles to our understanding. So this, dear devotees, is the sum and substance of the verse. Other commentators have repeated more or less the same points. Dear devotees, this verse is a very important lesson for those who are administrators, because Sri Brahma is giving an instruction to Swayambhuva Manu, who is going to become the administrator of the entire universe. Those of us who aspire to be administrators, because there are some devotees who aspire to be administrators, and there are some devotees who are under administrators. For one person to become a leader, there have to be 1,000 people who are not leaders. Isn't it? For one person to become a senior, there have to be 1,000 people who are not seniors, juniors. So, a person becomes senior by standing above the ranks of thousands of people who are under them. What should be the behavior of such a person? So, dear devotees, Sri Brahma says you have to maintain them very nicely. Please take care of them. And he is indicating that you should have mercy on all these living entities, and by having mercy on these living entities, Bhagavan will be pleased with you. Dear devotees, a similar principle is spoken by Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion. In Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, there are 64 limbs of sadhan bhakti. In these 64 limbs of sadhan bhakti, Sri Rupa Goswami has said 18th limb is very important. Please repeat after me. Bhuta anudvega dayita. 18th limb is not giving any anxiety to any living entity. This is one of the 64 limbs of devotional service. Simply by executing this behavior, Bhagavan is pleased. Devotional service is executed. I am quoting the direct words of Srila Rupa Goswami. You can see on the screen. Bhuta anudvega dayita. By not giving any trouble to other living entities, Bhagavan is pleased. Now, Sri Rupa Goswami doesn't give something from his own mind. He always has the habit of supporting it from Shastra. So, Sri Rupa Goswami immediately supports this claim from a statement of Shastra. And Sri Rupa Goswami quotes a verse from the Puranas in order to support this claim. Kindly repeat the verse after me. Piteva putram karuno nodve jayati yojanam vishuddhasya hṛṣīkeśa turnam tasya prasidati. You'll see Sri Rupa Goswami also has named Bhagavan Hṛṣīkeśa in his verse here. And Sri Brahmā was also indicating Bhagavan Hṛṣīkeśa in his verse. Piteva putram karuno no dvejayati yojanam. Bhagavan Hṛṣīkeśa is quickly pleased with that pure-hearted person who doesn't give anxiety to other living entities, behaving exactly like a merciful father behaves towards his dear son. This is the direct praman quoted by Srila Rupa Goswami, an instruction to anybody who wants to become a devotee, what to speak of becoming an administrator on top of being a devotee. So those who are administrators, they should be very careful that the living entities who have been placed under their care should be treated exactly like a merciful father treats their dearmost son. That is how Bhagavan will be pleased, not otherwise. This is a statement on how to behave. Then we will also have statements on what will happen if we don't behave like this. Because statements should be spoken in the positive sense and there should be instructions from the negative sense. Sometimes in a school a teacher says, tomorrow everyone should be present. Tomorrow nobody should remain absent. Both statements are the same. You might as well should have said tomorrow everyone should remain present. Why did you say tomorrow nobody should remain absent? So the Acharyas explain that the first statement is a statement of encouragement. Tomorrow everyone should remain present. There will be special gifts given out to those who are present. Tomorrow nobody should remain absent, otherwise there will be negative reaction for those who are absent. So sometimes the same statement is spoken in the positive sense and in the negative sense. In Sanskrit it is called Anvay Vyatirek. Anvay means in the positive sense, Vyatirek means in the negative sense. The positive sense is to give encouragement, the negative sense is to discourage negative behavior. So this is what Sri Rupa Goswami has said here. Dear devotees, actually true leaders are merciful to everyone. Sri Vyasadeva, in the beginning of Kali Yuga, he became overpowered by mercy and he wrote Srimad Bhagavatam for those who are ineligible in this age of Kali. In the Srimad Bhagavatam itself it is mentioned by the sages at Naimisharanya. Stri Shudra Dvijabandhu Nam Trayina Shruti Gochara Karma Shreyasi Mudhanam Shreya Evam Bhavediha Iti Bharatamakyanam Kripaya Munina Kritam. Out of great compassion, the great sage thought it wise that this would enable men to achieve the ultimate goal of life. Thus he compiled the great historical narration called the Mahabharata for women, laborers and friends of the twice born. So most men in the world are of the category of Shudras in this age. And therefore the men, the women and those who are even born in higher classes such as Brahmanas etc. are not keeping good company. Therefore for all of them, for human society in general, out of compassion, Sri Vyasadeva compiled which literature? Mahabharata. Similarly, Swayambhuva Manu is going to compile Manu-saṁhitā. Before he compiles that, Sri Brahmā is telling him, please be merciful to all the living entities, so Bhagavan Hṛṣīkeśa will be immensely pleased. Dear devotees, now a statement from the negative side. One should never display mercilessness, especially leaders should not do that. In the third canto, Kapil Muni gives a warning to all the devotees, and this chapter is named Devotional Service. So the instructions are especially applicable to all devotees. Kindly repeat the verse after me. Aham sarveshu bhuteshu bhutatma avasthitah sada tam avaghyaya mamartyah kurute rcha vidambanam. Kapil Muni says, I am present in every living entity as the super soul. If someone neglects or disregards that super soul everywhere and engages himself in the worship of the deity in that temple, that is simply an imitation. So this is Bhagavan's direct instruction, that without being kind to other living entities, there is no point of deity worship. A direct praman from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Because such a devotee is only able to see Bhagavan in one place, and that is in the deity in front of him. Such a devotee doesn't have the broad vision to see Bhagavan present within the heart of the living entities. And so showing respect only to the deity and not showing respect to Bhagavan present within the heart of the living entities is never acceptable to Bhagavan. Never ever acceptable to Bhagavan. And Bhagavan has specifically spoken about this in the 3rd canto, especially in the chapter related to devotional service. Srila Sridhar Swami also says that in Kali Yuga there are many quarrelsome, merciless spiritualists. Many people who are there. And Srila Sridhar Swami specifies in his commentary to Bhagavad Gita an ancient verse. This verse is very special. Pramadino bahischitta pishuna kalahotsuka sannyasino pidrishyante daiva sandushitashaya. There are many spiritualists, he says sannyasinopi, including sannyasis in this age, whose hearts are polluted due to misfortune and who are arrogant in nature, always attracted to the external things and always spiteful and eager for getting into arguments. This is directly from the commentary of Srila Sridhar Swami on Bhagavad Gita 5.6. Dear devotees, whenever we have seen such an individual or whenever we have personally acted in such a way, we should know that we are daiva sandushitashaya. Our hearts have been polluted due to some misfortune in the past. And therefore it is very important that we should learn the art of behaving nicely with others, as Sri Brahmā is instructing Swayambhuva Manu. Sri Kapil Muni once again gives a strict warning and says somebody who doesn't behave nicely will end up in a very unfortunate position. Kindly repeat this verse after me. Dvishatah parakaye maam manino bhinna darshina bhuteshu baddha vairasya namanah shanti mrichati. One who offers me respect but is envious of the bodies of others and is therefore a separatist never attains peace of mind, because of his inimical behavior towards other living entities. In commentary to these verses, Srila Jiva Goswami says, such a separatist, when he sees on the street that there is somebody who is hungry, even though he has the resources to feed such a person, he does not feed them. Such a separatist has to see the material world again and come back again to this world, take birth again, dear devotees. Many of us in the beginning of our spiritual lives might have experienced rough behavior from certain spiritual individuals, certain authorities, and we should understand that some of it, may not be all of it, but some of it is a result of our own behavior from past lives. How do we treat new devotees? How do we maintain them? How do we help them advance on the path? Are we merciful towards them? And the first step towards being merciful to other living entities is vachyo-vegam, to learn how to control one's speech. And how to control one's speech, Bhagavan has given a very nice verse in the Bhagavad Gita, dear devotees. In the 17th chapter, Bhagavan gives the definition of ideal speech. Kindly repeat after me. anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyayabhyasanam chaiva vāṅmayam tapa uchyate. Vāṅmayam tapa. Tapa means austerity. Our speech should also be austere. And what is the nature of austere speech? Anudvega karam vakyam. Our vakyam, our words should be anudvega karam. They should never agitate anybody's heart. First characteristic. Second, satyam. We should speak the truth. Third, priyam. Not only should it not agitate others, it should also please others. And fourth, hitam. Not only should it please, it should also benefit others. Sometimes we speak sweet lies. I hope you are able to understand. No. We should speak the truth for the benefit of others in a way that is pleasing to others. And if we can't do that, then let's keep quiet and swadhyayabhyasanam, engage in self-study. This is vāṅmayam tapa uchyate. This is called austerity of speech. This is the translation by Srila Prabhupada. Austerity of speech consists in speaking words that are truthful, pleasing, beneficial, and not agitating to others. So there are 4 characteristics of good speech. And if we can't have this sort of a speech, then better to regularly recite Vedic literature. So this is the direct statement of Bhagavan given in the Bhagavad Gita, that this is how our speech should be. Commenting upon this verse, previous commentators, Sri Adi Shankaracharya, Sri Madhusudan Saraswati have said how a guru behaves when a disciple comes to the guru. The disciple comes with a very distressed mind. I am troubled in the material world. I lost in life, I could not get money, I could not succeed in love, my spouse left me, I was cheated upon, so many things. A disciple comes. With a truly agitated mind, he comes and the guru gives this statement. Please repeat the statement that the guru speaks to the disciple, alright? Shanto bhava, vatsa, swadhyayam, yogam, chanutishtha. Shanto bhava vatsa, child, please be peaceful. This is the first statement. That a particular guru speaks to the disciple. Shanto bhava vatsa, dear child, please be peaceful. Sit here. Sit down, don't worry, sit down. Don't worry. It's all right. We'll make things okay for you. But swadhyayam yogam chanutishtha. Now engage in self-study and bhakti yoga. Now I'll teach you. Now engage in self-study and engage in bhakti yoga. So the moment the person hears these words, from that moment the healing begins for such a person. So this is how a leader, a person who's on the stature of a guru, is supposed to speak to the disciples. And sometimes the guru also chastises the disciple. Srila Prabhupada says in his commentary to this verse, in his purport, that usually a person should speak very nicely to others. A guru may speak something disciplinary, but he should only do that to the disciples. One should not speak in a harsh way to those who are not one's disciples. So this happened one time with me, that I was, in an Indian family, usually when you take to spiritual life, suddenly all your relatives become very spiritual, especially in giving you instructions. So it was 2001 and I took to spiritual life. I came to the association of devotees and some of my relatives became a little troubled. That why did he suddenly join ISKCON? So after a few days I was attending a marriage party and my relatives were a little concerned that I will join the brahmachari ashram. So one relative came to me and said, you see, Harshad, my civil name, Harshad, in the Shastra it is given that brahmachari ashram is only from 5 to 25. The 25th year you should enter which ashram? Grihastha. So I was also prepared with my weapons, I said, in that same Shastra it is written that after 50 you should take which ashram? So we'll have an exchange offer. I'll enter Grihastha ashram on the day you enter Vanprastha ashram. So on another day, another relative came and said to me, where is it written in the Bhagavad Gita that you should not eat onions and garlic? So obviously it's not written in the Bhagavad Gita. So it was a rhetorical question. So at that time I was not prepared because I was a new devotee, so I kept quiet. But I was disturbed in my mind. Next time I was prepared with a pramana. So next time the same relative came, I took out my sword and said, haven't you read Manu-saṁhitā? 5th chapter, 5th verse. Lashunam grinjanam chaiva palandum kavakani cha abhakshani dvijatinam amedya prabhavani cha. Garlic, onions, mushroom, carrots, radish should never be eaten by the twice born. Oh, it is useless to argue with you. So how to use Shastra as a weapon? I hope you are able to understand. There are many examples. So many devotees learn Shastra, but they do not learn the art of speaking Shastra in a way that it will be accepted by the listeners. That is very important for us to understand how Shastra should be spoken, because there is a culture of speaking Shastra. You can use Shastra as a hammer to smash people, but you will never win them over. And it is our aim to win over other people by giving them solutions from Shastra instead of critiquing them all the time. Dear devotees, Sri Rupa Goswami also says that we should not associate with those devotees. Even if they are devotees, we should not associate with them if they are not affectionate towards us. This comes directly from Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. I will not speak without giving praman. Alright, dear devotees, the standard of the previous acharyas is to not speak anything without giving a proof. Srila Rupa Goswami says you should associate only with the affectionate. This is the 62nd limb of 64 limbs of sadhana bhakti. Please repeat after me. Sajati yāṣaye snigdhe sadhau sangha svato vare. So the 62nd limb of sadhan bhakti is to associate with sajatiya ashaya, means those who are like-minded, and snigdha. Dear devotees, some of you might be knowing what is the meaning of snigdha. What is the meaning of snigdha? Affectionate. Snigdha also means butter-like affectionate. Like melting butter, the affection should be. Snigdha and sneha are similar words. Sneha means affection. Sneha also means melting butter. So the affection should be like melting butter. Sajatiya ashaye snigdhe sadhau sangha svato vare. Association of such sadhus who are more advanced than one's own self. Commenting upon this verse, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada gives a Sanskrit commentary. And he says, snigdhe, what is the meaning of affectionate? He says, Gadha Vishrambha Atmaka Sneha Pare. He means one should associate with a sadhu, snigdha, who has affection replete with a deep sense of confidence. You should feel that deep sense of confidence in dealing with this sadhu. You should never feel sambrama. Sambrama means, oh, I'm afraid of this sadhu. I hope you are able to understand. As long as you are afraid of the sadhu, there is no question of affection. You should have confidence in associating with the sadhu. And when there is confidence in associating with the sadhu, That confidence is due to affection that is present. And with such confidence, association ripens. Because then you can ask guhyam-akhyati, you can ask something confidential. And you are assured that the sadhu will keep it confidential. And in this way, that sangha, this association, is what gives the highest benefit for both individuals. Dear devotees, Sri Rupa Goswami also desires like-minded association. Always desired like-minded association. When Sri Rupa Goswami was in Vrindavan, he was composing Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. And in Vrindavan there were many sadhus who used to stay. And not all of them were very favorable towards rasa. Rasa is the crux of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. The central book is called Bhakti Rasa Amrit Sindhu. Rasa is the fundamental principle of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. And there were sadhus in Vrindavan who did not agree that a spiritualist should ever engage in tasting any rasa. Why? Because these sadhus were mainly impersonalists. They were negating the material world. And for them, rasa was another feature of maya. Therefore, rasa was also supposed to be negated. Sri Rupa Goswami, when he began to write his dramas, there were two dramas, Lalita Madhav Natakam, Vidagdha Madhav Natakam. He especially prayed for like-minded Rasik devotees. The Srimad Bhagavatam is also meant for which devotees? Rasik. In the third verse, Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavuka. It is meant for the connoisseurs of Bhakti Rasa. It is not meant for the dry-hearted renunciate who is neglecting the material world and spitting upon it. Such people are declared to be ineligible for experiencing Bhakti Ras in the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. But those whose hearts are snigdha, melting with affection, those whose hearts are affectionate, those whose hearts have been drenched in Bhakti Rasa, they are the individuals who are choicest for experiencing Bhakti Ras. Sri Rupa Goswami in the beginning of his Vidagdha Madhav Natakam prays as follows, please repeat after me. Udasatam nam rasana bhigya kritau tavami rasika sphuranti krame lakai kamamupekshitepi pika sukham yanti param rasale. This is the 9th verse of Vidagdha Madhav Natakam. Sri Rupa Goswami says, Udasatam nama rasa anabhigya. Those who are unaware of the beauty of rasa, let them neglect me and my compositions freely. I don't care. I hope you are able to understand. Those who are neglecting rasa, those who don't like rasa, dear devotees, please repeat after me. I don't care. Alright, this is Sri Rupa Goswami's attitude. But kritau tava ami rasika sphuranti, but the rasik devotees will be pleased. This is my confidence. I am writing for the rasik people, not for the dry-hearted. And he gives an example, krame lekai, kramelaka. You might have heard a similar term in English, camel. Kramelaka. The Sanskrit term is kramelaka, camel. Kamam upekshitepi. The camel doesn't eat mangoes. No. The camel will never eat mangoes. But pika sukham yanti. But the cuckoos will happily, the parrots and cuckoos will happily eat and relish the rasa of the ripened mango. And the camel on the other hand will enjoy another rasa. You know which rasa? The camel loves to thorns. So when the camel bites on the thorns, blood oozes from its mouth. And then it tastes that blood and thinks it is very tasty, dear devotees. This is the rasa enjoyed by a camel. Sri Rupa Goswami is trying to say that those who are over-renunciates, who have rejected the material world and who have rejected even the principle of rasa and are now engaged only in neti, not this, not that, then what is the positivity in your spiritual life? The only rasa they are deriving is out of rejecting and spitting on the material world. And such individuals who have nothing positive to offer, only negativity to offer, are compared to kramelekai, camels, and then them and eat thorns instead. So dear devotees, this is what we want, sajatiya, snigdha, sangha, and this is what we wish to avoid. So I hope it is very clear, especially an instruction for the leaders, that the leader should behave like this. And the leader should cultivate other devotees like this. And a leader should never behave like this. Never. Because they will not be able to sustain any project if they behave like this. All projects, all endeavors will be sustainable if the leaders behave like this. Because all living entities want rasa. But no living entity, very few living entities want to eat cactus. Alright, dear devotees, I'll pause my speech here. Yadatra skhalitam kinchit vidvāṁsah purayantu tat. Yadatra saushtavam kinchit tad guroreva menahi. Yadatra skhalitam kinchit. If I made any mistake in speaking anything, vidvāṁsah, you are learned devotees, purayantu tat. Kindly correct any mistakes. Yadatra saushtavam kinchit. But if there was anything nice, please remember, tad guroreva. It belongs to my Gurujanas, my Diksha Guru, my Shiksha Gurus, Srila Prabhupada, all the God brothers of Srila Prabhupada, all the Gaudiya Vaishnavas from all the families in the past, in the future, and in the present, including all of you are also my Gurujanas. It belongs to you. Main nahi. It doesn't belong to me. Thank you very much, dear devotees. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So now is the time for Q&A, and Nitai Chandra Nimai Prabhu, you will tell me when to stop, right? If devotees who want to go for some seva, you please feel free to leave. But if you want to stay back for the Q&A, we can stay back. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, thank you for that very erudite class.
Thank you.
I may have misheard or misunderstood, but I thought at one point you said, sometimes devotees, even if they encounter someone who's very harsh with them or strict with them, to some extent it's their own fault, so to speak, that they suffer in that way. So I'm trying to think of, obviously this is not something we preach, but if you think of the great calamities in recent history of the world, during World War II, there were entire races of people that they were trying to annihilate. In Russia, there were tens of millions of people that the communist leaders wanted to annihilate. In China, there were the most of the tens and tens and tens of millions of people that were annihilated by the communist leaders. These are all asuras. So I suppose we could stretch our minds to say, well, to some extent, the people that got annihilated and tortured, they deserved it to some extent. But if we ever said that in the public, this movement would be finished. So I'm trying to find some balance, because no one in the world would ever accept, oh, children and women getting butchered and tortured, it's their fault.
Right.
And also in our ISKCON, over the decades, sometimes what has happened to our own children within our own ISKCON, I don't want to say it's their fault.
Right. So this is a way, the statement that I made was that if we have had devotees harshly dealing with us, especially speaking roughly to us in the beginning of our spiritual lives, a devotee's attitude is to also see that not all of the responsibility lies on others, because there are two extremes. One extreme is to say that all of the responsibility lies on me, and the other extreme is to say all of the responsibility lies on others. How should a devotee look at it? That is the question. Because the talk is meant for devotees, how should a devotee look at it? In a general public setting, if I am speaking to outsiders, I will not bring up the point, because this particular talk is meant for diving deeper into Shastra. There are 5 factors which are mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, and these 5 factors are 5 factors for every particular action. Adhishthanam, tatha karta, karanam cha prithak vidham, vividhascha prithak cheshta, daivam chaivatra panchamam. This is 18.14. Place of action, performer, senses, many different kinds of endeavor, and ultimately daivam. You can say fortune or super soul. These are the 5 factors of any action. So we can't simply place all the blame upon the karta, the person who is committing the action. Neither can we fully place the blame simply on the person who is receiving the action. There are various factors which come together for a particular action to take place. In Western philosophy, most philosophers are unable to understand why God is cruel. And this is directly tackled in the Vedanta Sutra by Sri Vyasadeva. In Sri Vyasadeva, in Vedanta Sutra, directly tackles head on the question of why there is suffering in the material world. And that suffering is tackled in Vedanta Sutra, where he says specifically that Bhagavān is not merciless. And the previous acharyas give an example for this. And I'll give that example and I'll try to explain what Sri Vyasadeva says. The example that the previous acharyas give is Bhagavān is parjanyavad. Bhagavān is like rainfall. When rainfall falls in Mayapur, doesn't it fall equally everywhere around the campus? Yes. But in one place you have lotuses growing, in another place you have thorny bushes growing. So dear devotees, Sri Vyasadeva says Bhagavān takes into consideration many factors before a certain action or reaction is experienced by a particular living entity. Because otherwise we have only one choice, to say that everything is happening by chance and Bhagavān is not in control of the situation. And this will go directly against the tenets of the Vedanta Sutra. Either a particular action was controlled or it was not controlled. If it was controlled, then by whom was it controlled? And is that God merciless? The answer is no, Bhagavān is not merciless. There are various factors which come together. In the personal presence of Bhagavān Krishna, the 5 sons of Pandavas were slaughtered by Ashwathama. Bhagavān was standing on the planet at that particular point of time. Bhagavān did nothing to stop the slaughter of the 5 sons of the Pandavas. When that same Ashwathama tries to slaughter the grandson of the Pandavas, Bhagavān intervenes immediately. Somebody should question Krishna, where were you when the 5 sons of the Pandavas were being slaughtered? Where were you? Sri Bhishma Dev says in reply to this, Krishna doesn't give a reply, Bhishma gives a reply. I'll just read the translation 1:9:16. O king, no one can know the plan of the Lord. Even though great philosophers inquire exhaustively, they are bewildered. So this is the conclusion that Bhishma Dev comes to. Because what the Pandavas suffered, the slaughter that happened in the Mahabharata was much greater than it was perhaps the greatest slaughter that happened in that age. Bhishma Dev is also trying to come to terms with it. How could such a big slaughter happen in the personal presence of Bhagavān Krishna? Why did he not protect the Pandavas and their 5 direct sons? So this is the answer that Bhagavān Sri Bhishma Dev comes to. This is the answer, and there is no other answer that will give satisfaction. There are no satisfactory answers to this question. I understand. But sometimes philosophers give answers. And one of the answers is given by Sri Vyasadeva. Although I understand that even the answers given by Sri Vyasadeva may not be satisfactory to everyone. But perhaps this answer will be. All right. Right. Right.
Did find blame.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Right, I agree. But
Very specific about leaders and teachers and individuals.
Oh, so no, no. Yeah. I was not aware that No. I'm not. I thought you were asking about the world wars. So many people. I was not aware that you're asking about a specific situation. If you're asking about a specific situation, then that question needs to be taken separately. But I'm saying for all the wars that happened in the past, yes, there is a generic answer given by Bhishma Dev. That answer is here. All right? Thank you. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you so much for a wonderful class. You were sharing that it's very important, essential, that in the relationship between a devotee and a sadhu, it should be saturated with affection.
Right.
And it shouldn't be affected by fear. Sometimes there's a sadhu in our life that we have great reverence, who's an exalted personality that we want to emulate, and that gives us so much benefit, and we feel affection for them, but there might not be that reciprocal affection somehow due to whatever chemistry. So what is a devotee to do in that case if they don't have a sadhu like that in their life, especially a sadhu that they have that they have access to in a more personal way?
Right. So what is the devotee supposed to do when they don't have such a sadhu in their lives? Devotees always pray to Bhagavan for having at least one such person in their lives. At least one should be there. And all the previous acharyas, Sri Narottam Das Thakur had Sri Ramchandra. Sri Narottam Das Thakur says, Ramachandra Sangha Mage Narottam Das. Now we don't know much about who is Sri Ramchandra, but we know one thing, that he was very dear to Sri Narottam Das Thakur. And Sri Jiva Goswami, he says, my dearmost friend is Gopal Das. We don't know who is Gopal Das, but Sri Jiva Goswami had a friend in Sri Gopal Das. So all the previous acharyas have also had. Sri Rupa Goswami says, my Prabhupada is Sanatan Goswami. So all the previous acharyas have had at least one affectionate sadhu with them. We should pray that we are able to have one such person in our lives who has the qualities of a sadhu and who is very like-minded. Once we find such a person, and how to maintain that relationship, dadati pratigrihnati guhyam akhyati pritchati bhunkte bhojayate chaiva. Always give them some gifts, and when they give us some gifts, always accept gracefully. Always speak confidentially, and you should trust them with little truths and see if they maintain those truths. Then you can trust them with more confidential truths. And then feed them and accept food that is given by them. So these are 6 exchanges that should be had with every sadhu. And if we are able to find one such sadhu, then our spiritual life becomes immensely blissful. Because we look forward to meeting that person. And such sadhu sangha is highly encouraged. So Bhagavan will definitely send if we sincerely pray to Bhagavan. And when such a sadhu manifests in our life will become very joyous. Yes, thank you. Yes. Prabhu, you tell, Nitai Chandan, Nimai Prabhu, you tell me when to stop. Okay? Otherwise I will continue. Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah.
Prabhu, regarding, I would bring the attention to Rameswar Prabhu's point.
Yeah.
Actually, as you said that I will not present this point in front of general public.
Yeah.
But please don't think that within our society, all the so-called devotees, they are devotees.
Yeah.
Even the leadership position.
Yeah.
They have demoniac mentalities.
Right.
Many, some of them,
Right.
at least I have observed. So they will use your statement to justify their cause.
Yeah.
It's very dangerous actually. It should not be overemphasized. This is what...
Which statement?
That, if someone is suffering, so they are suffering because of their past, something.
I am saying a person, I'll repeat again what I said. This is how a devotee sees themselves, not how a devotee sees others. I hope you are able to understand. When somebody uses it to instruct others, they are misquoting the statement. The statement is Tattenu kampam susamikshamaano Bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam hridvag vapurбhir vidadhan namaste jivetyo mukti pade sadaya bhak. This is 10.14.8. Somebody can say this is an incorrect statement. Vyasadev's leaders will misuse this statement. This is I will quote the translation. This is the translation. All the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds. You know, it is directly in the Bhagavatam, it is mentioned, one of them. Yes? So, for some leader to misuse, they don't need me. They have the Bhagavatam already. They don't need my statement, they have the Bhagavatam already. People are always there to misquote statements. But I have to say one thing. Whenever there is an incident like this where somebody has been abused, at that particular point of time, we need also a person like Swayambhuva Manu or like Parikshit who can make things right. Yes. What is the use of discussing lecture after lecture, whose blame is it? Please tell me. What is the use of discussing lecture after lecture, whose blame is it? Where is the person who will set it right? Isn't it? One person who can set it right will fix everything. I hope you are able to understand. You need one Kshatriya, yes, a true Kshatriya, yes, who's by lecture after lecture speaking like this will not work. I am telling you, I come from the state of Maharashtra. It is on the opposite side of West Bengal, right? When the Muslims, Mughals were ruling on Maharashtra, year after year people were thinking, who will save us, who will save us, who will save us. Then one king came. One king came, everything was set in proper order. I hope you are able to understand. People should be afraid of that person. You need one such person. I hope that will, otherwise these things will not make any sense. We will say lecture after lecture. You need one person who is dharmic, who is not influenced by money, and who is not influenced by followers, and who has the required strength to set things right.
Well said.
Isn't it? That's what you wanted to hear. I am speaking it on the stage. Okay? Yeah. Yes, Madam.
Thank you, Prabhu, for a very wonderful class.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask a question regarding that teacher who said that everyone should be present, nobody should be absent.
Right.
I want to relate that to the position of leadership.
Right.
When leaders do not do what they're supposed to do, what is the reaction they can expect? That's my question.
When leaders do what they're not supposed to do.
Right. When they're not leading according to dharmic rules, then what is the reaction they can expect?
There are two reactions they can expect. First is, sincere people who understand the Shastra will go away from them. Second is, insincere people who want to exploit a religious movement for their own selfish purposes will be attracted to them. There are two reactions to expect. Since people are asking questions so frankly, so I'll reply frankly. So, a religious movement is exploited by cheaters from both sides, in the position of leaders and in the position of followers. It is incorrect to say that cheaters are only come from the leaders. Cheaters also come from those who are following. So those who are cheating as leaders, they attract people who are attracted to that sort of a lifestyle. So they will find more and more followers who are attracted to that sort of a cheating. And those people who have truly read the Shastra, who understand what is the path shown by the previous acharyas, they will never be attracted. And it is very important. Some people learn after being cheated upon once. We have to understand. Although Shastra is available for everyone, some people do not accept Shastra when Shastra speaks something. It's a big issue. You know, even though Shastra says something, many devotees do not accept it. And I'll give another example. When we focus too much on the externals and we do not focus on the internals, actually progress in bhakti means progressing from Shraddha to Bhava and Prem. That is progress. Instead of neglecting that progress, when we put progress exclusively upon quantity, not upon quality, that is when our quality starts suffering. And that is when what happens is that people who are having mixed motivations enter into the path of devotional service, and that is when the process is spoiled. And Srila Prabhupada therefore said we need to boil the milk. Boiling the milk means we should now have devotees who are very serious about the process, who understand the process inside out, who understand the Shastra inside out, and who are not hesitant to speak the truth. So that sort of a process is needed. But unfortunately what happens sometimes, externals are glorified. And when externals are glorified, people confuse externals to be devotional service. And when externals are confused to be devotional service, then what to do? I will quote a verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Alright? Dear devotees, please take this verse as it is. Alright? Perhaps you might not have seen this verse before, because this verse is often not quoted. But I will quote a verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and this verse is the direct statement of Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada. Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he says something. He says, I will not include two things as limbs of sadhan bhakti. Dear devotees, I am quoting that verse. Dhana shishyadibhir dvarair ya bhakti pratipadita viduratvad uttamata hanyas tasyascha nangata. Yes. You can repeat the verse after me, dear devotees. This is 1.2.259. Dhana shishyadibhir dvarair या भक्तिर उपपाद्यते विदूरत्वाद उत्तमता हान्या तस्याश्च नांगता. In the 64 limbs of Bhakti, Rupa Goswami says, I will not include two things. What are the two things? First, collecting money for Krishna is not one of the 64 limbs of Bhakti. Second, collecting followers for Krishna, Dhana, Shishya. These two will not be included in the 64 limbs of Bhakti. Why? Ya Bhakti Rupapadyate. That which is proclaimed to be Bhakti on the strength of these two. What are the two things? Collecting money. Collecting followers. That which is proclaimed to be Bhakti on the strength of these two. Viduratvad Uttamata. It is far away from Uttama Bhakti. I do not consider it as limbs of Uttama Bhakti, pure devotional service. I hope you are able to understand. This is a direct translation of Srila Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. I am also quoting the verse 1-2-259. Doesn't mean that a person who has many disciples is not a pure devotee. A person who has many disciples may also be a pure devotee. But if they are proclaiming that they are a pure devotee only because they have money and if they have disciples, that is not good. Devotional service is something which we have if all of our positions, money, wealth, etc. will be taken away. What remains is our genuine bhakti. If everything was taken away from us, our posts, our positions, the recognition that we have in the society, then the devotee that remains is the devotee whom we actually are.
I still haven't got the answer to my question.
Right.
My question was, what is the reaction in terms of, I've done something wrong, I can expect a karmic reaction. So when the leader doesn't do what they're supposed to do, they get sinful reaction.
Right.
So what I've heard that the leader suffers sinful reactions, 1/6, 1/12, something proportion is there, I don't remember the exact, for all the sinful activities of a citizen. But the leader himself is committing sinful deeds or is not behaving in the proper way, what reaction he can expect, he or she?
If you are speaking about an administrator, Srila Prabhupada often used to say that on behaving incorrectly, they may have to see Yamaraj face to face. And this is also spoken in the Srimad Bhagavatam. There was a very big leader in the 10th canto. His name was Maharaj Nriga. His story is mentioned in the 10th canto. He did everything right. all the activities of his life, he donated umpteen number of cows to Brahmanas. On one occasion, he made a mistake. And on that one occasion, because of that, after his death, although he was supposed to go directly to the heavenly planets, after his death, he found himself face to face with Yamaraj. And Yamaraj asked him, "Welcome, Maharaj Driga. You have immense piety on one hand and one little negative reaction on the other hand. What would you like to do? Enjoy the piety or suffer the negative reactions?" Dear devotees, what would all of you like in this situation? Huh? First, the positive or the negative? Please tell me. Negative. See, everybody wants to suffer the negative first. So Maharaj Driga also said, see, if it is a little negative reaction, I want to suffer it first. All right. Because you blindly donated and improperly donated cows, the negative reaction is that you have to become a monitor lizard, a Komodo dragon in a dry well, for a certain number of years. All right. And what about the positive reactions? Well, after a few years, you will come face to face with Bhagavān Krishna. So, please tell me, is this justified? Did Yamaraj do justice to whatever? For a small reaction, he gave him, small action, he gave him a small reaction. So, this is, Srila Prabhupada used to say, this is applicable to all the leaders. Even if it is Maharaj Nriga from the direct dynasty of Bhagavān. He was from the direct dynasty of Bhagavān, yet he had to see Yamaraj face to face. What to speak of other leaders who are not from the direct dynasty of Bhagavān? For them, certainly they may have to see. So they should behave very nicely, and better to take those many followers that one can properly take care of. That's it. I hope that is.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Yes. Do we have time? It's over. All right. Thank you.